My name is Eric Morgan. I am 29 years old and I live in the beautiful ski town of Aspen, Colorado. As a DJ, I have spent years spinning tracks at resorts around the globe, from sun-soaked beaches in Mexico to tropical nights in the Bahamas. My life revolves around music, late nights, and the thrill of connecting people through sound. There is something magical about a room full of people dancing to the beat, losing themselves in the rhythm, and for me, that magic is everything. But as I settled into my latest gig at a high-end ski resort in Colorado, everything began to unravel. It was the busy holiday season, the club was alive with energy, and yet chaos crept in through the cracks. My manager, a decent guy from Canada, was stuck at customs, and in his absence, a young kid who had no idea what he was doing was thrust into the role of authority. He was arrogant, thought himself a big shot, and made it his mission to rain on my parade. His jealousy was palpable. While I thrived on engaging with the crowd, he barked orders from the sidelines like some kind of wannabe king. Every time I spun a great track and the ladies came to my booth, dazzling me with their smiles, he would scowl and tell me to lock the door, pushing me to keep them out. It was absurd. I was there to entertain, to create a night filled with excitement, and yet he could not see that. As the night deepened and the energy intensified, he pushed me again and again to focus only on the music, as if the vibrant atmosphere meant nothing to him. One evening, the club was packed and I was riding high on the crowd's enthusiasm. I had kept the dance floor alive, but the kid was relentless. "Lock the door," he snapped, commanding me like a soldier. Typically, I would have brushed off his ridiculous demands. This was my booth, my turntables, my moment. Yet that night, with the club pulsing with excitement, I did exactly as he instructed. I locked the door. I thought back to all the nights spent building my reputation and felt a sense of satisfaction in my proactive obedience. But soon enough, he came pounding on the door, desperate to join in on the fun, only to be met with the very rules he had imposed. "Open up," he shouted through the door. "I want to see what is going on," I laughed, feeling a sense of power wash over me. "You told me to lock it, remember?" I said with a grin, refusing to budge. It felt good to stand up to the brat who had made my life so miserable. He could only shout and flail like a child denied candy. Finally, after a moment of heated back and forth, I relented and let him strut in, but instead of being grateful, he went ballistic. "You're fired," he screamed, his face turning a shade of crimson. "Are you serious?" I said, bewildered, as he jabbed a finger in my direction with venomous fury. The club in its merriment fell silent. I took a deep breath and faced the crowd. The mood had shifted, and I knew this was the moment to make a statement. I stopped the music. "I am sorry, everyone," I announced, my voice ringing through the speakers, "but I have just been fired." Gasps filled the room, and as I turned away from the booth, I realized I did not feel the anger I thought I would. Instead, I felt a sense of liberation. I packed up my things, adrenaline coursing through my veins. As I walked past the stunned crowd, I could see smiles of sympathy and surprise. Walking out of that club felt exhilarating. I had taken a stand, albeit somewhat silly, as it was over a power struggle, and I was finally free from that kid's shadow. But while I stepped into the brisk mountain air, I was left with a dilemma. Because if I quit, I had to pay for my own way home, but if I was fired, the resort would cover my flight. With the holidays upon us, I discovered they could not book me a flight for a week. Now I had a whole week at the resort, and it felt like fate had intervened. Instead of wallowing in frustration, I decided to plot my revenge against that pompous kid who had thought he could control me like a toy. I would not be the victim. I would turn this situation into a masterpiece of payback. Each day I explored the breathtaking beauty of Aspen, from gliding down slopes of pristine snow to sipping hot chocolate at quaint cafes, but my mind was always busy. I concocted a plan that would show him I was not someone to be trifled with. I began to make quiet connections with some staff members and share stories of the night I had been unjustly fired. It quickly spread like wildfire, and by the time I had been at the resort for a few days, the buzz was palpable. The patrons returned for more, and the whispers on the slopes had turned sympathetic. Then one evening, after gathering a few of my closest confidants from the resort, we engineered the perfect scene. I had them help me organize an impromptu Eric night at the club, giving me a chance to reclaim my spotlight. News spread quickly, and I was flooded with requests from guests who wanted to dance once more to the DJ they felt had been wronged. The kid, still brimming with hubris, was furious when he learned of my plan. He attempted to halt the event, but I was on a roll. With my friends' support, we set up a fantastic night that rivaled everything the club had seen before. I took the stage, spinning tracks that made the crowd go wild. Well-placed lights illuminated my booth, and I felt more alive than ever, my energy radiating like fireworks. As the night unfolded, I could hardly contain my excitement. I turned the music up, my fingers dancing expertly over the controls, and soon the club became a whirlpool of joy, laughter, and energy. People were on tables, dancing on the floor, and I could see how the momentum built. I knew the kid was lurking somewhere, trying to regain control, but I had him right where I wanted. I was in the spotlight, the king of the night. Then, as I planned, I took the opportunity to make an announcement, ensuring everyone could hear. "I want to thank everyone for being here tonight," I shouted. "Not all heroes wear capes, some just know how to spin a good tale." Laughter erupted, but I leaned in, my smile robbing him of any remaining authority. "Let us give a big round of applause to someone very special." I glanced at the kid who was standing at the edge, looking increasingly irked, and posited, tonight's event wouldn't have been possible without a certain someone motivating me to finally take a stand. The crowd cheered as I warmly gestured toward him. Faces turned, laughter rang out, and I felt the air crackle with excitement. As the cheers grew louder, I relished my victory and finally saw that kid's face pale in utter embarrassment. He would never be able to regain his position now, not after his role in my narrative had left such a mark. I had turned the tables, digging deep to find that strength I had hidden. The culmination of my week's indulgence had transcended beyond mere revenge. It became a night of celebration. In the end, as I relished the spotlight, I learned that every setback can become a launchpad for greatness. I spent the remainder of the week at the resort in camaraderie and triumph, enjoying the slopes, the people, and the rewarding feeling of having claimed my space. While the kid was left fuming and defeated, I emerged stronger, wiser, and ready for what life had in store next, knowing that sometimes revenge could feel like a song that finally played out right.